What's up, guys? Welcome to Bleav in Rams, part of the Bleav Network. Erin Coscarelli and my co-host Tyler Dragon of USA Today is joining me. Hey, we've got a really cool guest, and that's what I'm excited about because we are only a couple of days away from draft day. And Molly Higgins, who, by the way, is the Executive VP of Community Impact and Engagement for the Rams, she's going to tell us about what they're doing on draft day. What was your thought when you saw that, when they announced that?
I was thinking, man, I'm gonna have to go to the Rams draft day at a fire station. I've never
Yeah,
been to a fire
yeah.
station before, so I'm actually really excited to attend, not only to see just how the process plays out, but to tour the fire station and to say thank you
Yeah.
to the men and women who protect our city.
Yep. Yep. Without further ado, let's let Molly join us. Hi, Molly. First and foremost, how are you doing?
We're doing okay. It's draft week. We've all said it's like Christmas all week for us. So we're excited about the upcoming draft for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are excited. I know for me, as an LA native, and what my family and a lot of friends have gone through, we're so touched that you came up with this idea to host it for the first time ever at a fire station. And that's why we're so lucky we were able to get you on, because I'm very curious. Ty and I are so curious. How did you guys come up with this idea? Whose idea was it? Was it your idea? I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, I would say it was really a result of that initial discussion and focus around bringing LA together in the immediate aftermath of the fires, even when the fires were going on, and we were having to move our game to Arizona, our wild card game. As an executive team, we were meeting a couple times a day just to try to stay current on everything that was happening in our community. And at that point, we came up with the LAFD hats and the shirts that were worn on the sidelines. And the response was just so amazing. All those proceeds went to LAFD Foundation and American Red Cross to help with disaster relief. And I think after the game, the response was just so positive. We were even fielding calls from fire stations saying, how do we get some of those hats? So we started doing deliveries to the fire stations just to thank them for all their efforts and just kind of provide that morale boost. And I think that's kind of when it dawned on us, was like, gosh, we should keep this going. And we should, what could we do to really shine a light on these heroes that are protecting our communities every single day? And that was kind of where the idea was born. And so then, came the logistics and trying to figure out if we could actually pull this off. And proud to say that as of, couple minutes ago, I think we dropped our trailer with Coach McVay and Les Snead coming off the helicopter in their LAFD jackets, and just the response from LAFD that we want to do this for them has been so awesome. And then the response from our players who were like, we're drafting from a firehouse. Can I come by and thank the firefighters and first responders for their efforts? So I think that's when you realize you've really hit something special, because it's that intersection of, what's good for the community, what resonates with our players, what resonates with our organization. And, it's so gratifying to be part of football. I think it's the ultimate team sport. Even on the business side, doing something to this degree and this magnitude truly required so many different departments coming together to make it possible. So it's much more beyond just a community impact and engagement effort. We have, first off, you need a general manager in Les Snead who is willing to pull up his operations and take them to down the road to a fire station that he's never been in before, right? Coach McVay has to get on board with that. Our president has to get on board with that. And, I think we have a president in Kevin Dimoff who just challenges us to think differently at all turns. How do we best utilize our platform for the community benefit? And I feel so honored to lead that effort for the Rams and for Mr. Kroenke. And but ultimately, it's a team effort. It's not just one department.
Not only are you having the draft at the fire station, you're actually partnering with Zillow too to help refurbish the fire station. Can you tell our fans what that entails? Because that's really exciting news as well.
Yeah, I think when we first did that tour at Air Ops, like we were like, "Where's your rec room?" We're like, "Well, we don't. We can just kind of skip that." And I said, "No, no, we want to see it." And we walked in there, and we're like, "This is in need of some TLC for sure." So I mean, those guys and gals are like at the station 24 hours a day, multiple days in a row, many times. So we just wanted to provide a comfortable space for them to relax and just hang out when they have those minutes of downtime. So that was cool to be able to bring on some partners in Zillow and Bob's Furniture to help complete that with us.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, first responders were also part of the loss of their own homes, and that's devastating. And one of the things, a friend of mine, I recently went to go see her and her husband. She found out she was pregnant the week before the fires happened. And when I asked her, what people who have lost everything, what do you need? She said, we just hope you don't forget about us. And that made me emotional because I just can't even imagine losing everything. And everyone else, the news shifts and the cycles shift and moves on, but you're left to pick up the pieces literally. So it's an incredible initiative. As someone who's been impacted by it, grew up in LA, I've never seen destruction like that. And to use your platform, like you said, makes me proud to cover the NFL in that you're using so many of these positive messages to help impact and bring together the community. Is there a long-term goal for you guys in terms of a relief effort? Because I know that doing this is probably going to have a domino effect. Have you thought of the long-term goals for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you touched on that because that was something we said from the jump. Like, this is devastation like Los Angeles has never seen. Like, this can't be just throwing the caps on and wearing the shirts on the sidelines. Like, we are committing to the long-term recovery process. And we're figuring that out just like everyone else is, like as we go along. But I can tell you, I'm just so proud. Like when Aaron Donald reached out and said, I want to visit the first responders. Like, okay, I'll set that up. Andrew Whitworth called and said, I want to make a donation with Coach McVeigh and Cooper Cup. Like, where should we donate our funds? So like to be able to work with all of those folks, like when Kyron Williams said, I want to take my Walter Payton Man of the Year award money and turn it over to LAFD Foundation. Tomorrow we'll be in Altadena doing a big Play 60 event for a school that was burned down. And we're just going to provide some joy. We've been in touch about Teacher Appreciation Week and how do we bring some love and some joy to teachers that have been impacted in the Palisades and the Altadena, Pasadena area. So I think we're examining all opportunities. We're talking with Habitat for Humanity. We're going to do a big distribution event at SoFi Stadium on May 16th. We're going to pass out mattresses and furniture and home goods. We're also talking with them about their focus is really on homes that haven't been completely lost, but are just unlivable right now. So we're going to go in and partner with them and help fund some restoration of some homes to get folks back in their houses. We're working with United Way. We're going to be announcing very soon on July 20th at the Rose Bowl. We're hosting a big event called Walk United, where we're going to encourage Angelinos to come walk for fire recovery. And it was very significant to us to pick that event up and move it from SoFi Stadium to the Altadena, Pasadena area as a nod of support to that community. So, like I said, I was there last week. I'll be there tomorrow. It's going to be a long-term recovery. We know this isn't just like, one-off efforts, but a sustained effort. And I think it's important that we use our platform to keep that energy high and to keep it in the news, right? So people don't forget our neighbors who lost so much.
Yeah, the fires are obviously in all of our minds right now. But I'm interested, aside from the fires, what have you heard from the community that LA maybe needs the most support with?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the when we moved here in 2016 from St. Louis to Los Angeles, and I remember Kevin Dimoff saying, what are our community priorities going to be? And I said, I'm not sure yet. And he's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, we were named St. Louis's most philanthropic organization. I said, yeah, but like that was St. Louis. This is Los Angeles. If you'll allow me the time, I really want to embark on a listening tour, and I want to go out and meet with community leaders and nonprofit leaders and education leaders so I can best understand the needs of this community. So then we can come back and strategize about how do we effectively go about tackling some of these needs. And Kevin, being the amazing leader and boss that he is, he's like, all right, I don't think you really realize how big Los Angeles is. But, I Bleav that is the right way to go about this. So I did that. And I think to a degree, I'm still doing that. We have over 5,000 nonprofits in LA County alone. And so part of my job is like determining who best to partner with to really affect change. Because I think all nonprofits are, for the most part, well-intentioned, but some are much more effective and efficient. And we're trying to find those thought leaders to really like move the needle in areas of need. But to answer your question, I mean, I think any Angelino knows homelessness is a humanitarian crisis that is very complex. It's very layered. It's a challenge to tackle. We also have food insecurity. I mean, Angelino is one of the things that I found out meeting with the president and CEO of LA Regional Food Bank on that listening tour is 1 in 4 Angelinos suffer from food insecurity. They don't know where they're going to get their next meal. And so that was something that I really felt like we could make a tangible difference in. And we've focused a lot of our efforts around that. And super proud of what we've accomplished in that space. Education equities and opportunity gap. That's another one that we're really tackling, and youth mentorship. So yeah, there are definitely needs. I think Los Angeles has a lot of resources in some communities and very limited resources in others. And we're trying to really bridge that divide.
Yeah, I appreciate what you said. You said you wanted to go on a listening tour. And that's pretty remarkable because, in my opinion, LA, the best parts of LA is because it's so vast. It's so diverse. And you can't just get one particular issue down. I think every neighborhood has a unique component to it. And that's why, even the fires, which is so devastating, you have the Palisades and then, you have Altadena, and seeing you sort of send players to various places, the Staffords going to Pasadena High School. Jared Verse, didn't he surprise season ticket holders who had lost their houses in Pasadena? I mean, growing up very close to that neighborhood has been amazing to see the efforts that you guys have made. One of my questions is for you, how closely do the players come to you and actively pitch, suggest? Do they come to you with causes that they feel like they care about?
Yeah, definitely. There's certainly some of that. And then, like you mentioned, Matthew's situation, that was an opportunity I took to Matthew and Kelly and said, look, if you want to help out Pasadena High School, they need all new equipment, uniforms. There's also a youth league. And they, without hesitation, said, absolutely. And, so many people don't know that they spent, 6 figures to make that possible, and that came together very quickly. And it just so happened that like that Wednesday, I said, I just learned that they're going to have a football banquet. Like, should we come through? And they were like, absolutely. So we kind of were able to make that surprise for them. But we also at the Rams, we do something unique where we established what we call the Rams Rookie Club a couple of years ago. And so what that is as our rookies come into the building, we have them out in the community every single month, experiencing different like ways to give back and different ways of community service and different nonprofits, et cetera. And what that does is it not only teaches them what we expect a Los Angeles Ram to be, not only a winner on the field, but a winner off the field and like somebody who's contributing. It kind of opens their eyes to the possibilities. And then that allows us to go in and say, okay, so what did you like most? Like what resonated with you? What did you gravitate towards? So then we're able in those years 2, 3, 4, and beyond to really like help them develop a strategy of giving back. And I think like one of the most rewarding examples was Andrew Whitworth when he signed with us. And I sat down with him and I handed him a player survey because that's oftentimes how we kind of extract some of that information from the guys. And it had like a variety of causes and nonprofits. And I said, check the ones you're interested in. And he kept checking boxes. And I said, excuse me, Andrew, I don't think you understood the question. Just check the ones that you're most interested in. And he goes, I understood the question. I'm interested in everything. Like, I just want to be helpful. And at that point, I'm like, we got a gem here. And so he and I partnered to really develop a strategy that would be most effective and impactful for him. And he's just an incredible human being who truly has a heart for community service and does it for all the right reasons. And like, oftentimes he'd pick up the phone and call me and be like, I was thinking. And so he would give me like his initial thought, right? And then I would kind of go fully bake it out and bring it back to him. And he'd be like, I love it, or let's tweak this. But that partnership that I had with him, and I have his Walter Payton Man of the Year Super Bowl jersey hanging behind me in my office that he gifted to me, is, something that I don't take for granted. Like, I want to put our players in positions to have success and make that impact and really like be of service to the community.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And that's a great story to hear. I mean, it's why he was so deserving of the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. 10 years from now, talk about the Rams, not when it comes to wins and losses, but really the team's role in the city and the community.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, I want people to see the Rams as a team that is bigger than football and are very authentic and thoughtful about their interactions and their engagement and like how they go about making that impact. Oftentimes there's headlines around the work that we do, but we do so much more that, nobody ever covers or knows about because it's the right thing to do. And I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of. The fact that we have an owner in Mr. Kroenke who gives us all the tools necessary and like enables us to and empowers us to do the work. And then giving back has become really part of our cultural identity and our organizational DNA. And we talk about community impact in every single executive team meeting. Coach McVay asked me like, how are things going? How can I help? And those are things that, I take great pride in. And like I mentioned earlier, it's grown to beyond just one department. I think I have a partnership team who comes and says, what are the community priorities? Like, let me go find a Zillow. Let me go find a Bob's Furniture that like has that shared vision of impact and, we'll figure this thing out together. So, I'm so thankful to have like a marketing team that's so supportive, like our Ram Studios team, like they just develop the most amazing content, and it allows us to really shine a light on some of those people that need kind of that visibility. So I just, I'm so thankful for all of that. But at the end of the day, I want people to know that like when they meet somebody with the Rams, they're a very authentic, genuine person who truly cares. They're not doing it for the headlines. They're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And we feel that. And it certainly comes across, especially when you use your draft platform and you tell us the story of Les Snead and Sean McVay being totally in support of moving their draft headquarters. We know that's not an easy task to do. So we're really excited for you guys this week. Draft day is Thursday. Molly Higgins with the Rams. We're really grateful we were able to get the time, especially during such a crazy week, and tell us a little bit more about this exciting new draft week at the LAFD Air Operations. So we're really excited and we can't wait to see how things pan out on Thursday. Thanks again, Molly.
Unless I trust.